To the Queen's Curry Kitchen. We are in Queens. I make curry in my kitchen. So my brand is called Queen's Curry Kitchen. My name is Chef Nupur, and I'm sure you have either spent some time with me in my kitchen before making simple Indian vegan dishes, which we eat on a day-to-day basis, and I specialize in home style cooking. So today we are going to make two dishes, one that involves spinach and lentils, as you must have read in the description, and the other one that I'm making is a dry dish, which is a cauliflower and potato stir fry. So I will be making these two dishes, and you're welcome to stay and make them with me. I'm going to quickly flip the camera so that you can see what we are doing. Right now, let me show you what I'm doing with the cauliflower and potato. I have some oil. So we will be working on two dishes at the same time. I have the hot oil going for the cauliflower and potato. I've already chopped up everything. And for my spinach and lentil dish, we're going to start with that first. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. I'm making about 3 to 4 portions. I'm going to add a little bit of oil, and I will put this to sear mode. Whatever I'm doing in my Instapot, you can actually do on your stovetop. The other ingredients that we're going to use is a bag of spinach. This is just triple washed spinach. We will use some finely grated ginger, some finely sliced onions, and of course my trusted masala box, from which we will use salt. We will use paprika powder, coriander powder, some turmeric. These are cumin seeds, and this is fenugreek. So we won't be using the cumin and the fenugreek in this dish. We will also be using good old tomato puree and perhaps one whole fresh tomato that has already been cut up, and it's sitting on my countertop. The oil is getting hot as we speak. So the first thing that I'm going to add is some cumin seeds. I just like the dimension of earthiness that they add to any dish. Next thing going in is freshly grated ginger. So since this is not supposed to be a very spicy dish or not too many flavors going on, ginger actually plays a really good role in grounding all the flavors of the spinach, of the lentils. So as long as it, I'm just gonna give it a little while till it starts to sizzle, and then we are ready to add the sliced onions. Now another thing that's gonna go into this dish is actually right here, and these are lentils, but they're not mung lentils. These are Bengal gram lentils. And in the Indian language, in Hindi, they're called chana dal. You can see how big the grains are. And I washed it, and it's been soaking for about 10 to 20 minutes. So whenever you make your lentils, because they're seeds and not grains, always try to soak them for a little bit before you actually cook with them. Preferably soak them and then drain the water and then cook with them. Okay, so this is going to just sizzle and splutter just a little bit. I'm trying to cook the ginger out. Just gonna saute the ginger with the cumin. Now this is a very hearty dish, and it's in a lot of families up in the north. It's actually made every day. So my husband's family, his grandparents used to eat this dish every day. So whoever told you, whoever said that spinach makes you live longer, and what's his name? Popeye wasn't wrong if he ate spinach. I'm telling you, my husband's grandparents lived to be beyond their late 80s. So there was something definitely happening in the spinach dish that they were eating every day. And this dish was made in his house every single day, apart from all the other things that they were cooking, okay? So bringing you back to this, it's nice, and you can see, you can hear it crackling. In go the onions. I don't want it too heavy on the onions, so I've just used like one medium white onion. Okay. While this is sauteing, it's just, we don't have to make it too brown, so we're not trying to caramelize it too much. It's just gonna saute a little bit. and it's going to soften up, and then we'll add the rest of the things. Once that happens, it goes really fast. Now moving back to the cauliflower with the potatoes. Okay, this oil is nice and hot, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it with some cumin seeds. You see how they're sizzling? What my mom actually likes to do in order to get the potatoes and any kind of starch that she's putting, in order to get the salt and seasoning into it, she actually adds the salt to the hot oil. And I've never done it that way, but today I'm going to do it just because I love my mom. That's why. Okay, so I'm going to add a little more salt to this. Right? Going to add a little more salt, and then gradually I'm going to add all the potato bits. This is a very common North Indian dish. It's called gobi aloo, and I actually had a friend who was pregnant with her twins, and she would always come to our house because her son and my daughter were really good friends. And believe it or not, she's not even Indian, but she would always crave gobi aloo when she was pregnant with her twins. Now those kids are in high school, by God's grace, but she always remembers the gobi aloo. So you can see I haven't really used the entire head of cauliflower. I still have some left. And to one cauliflower, a little shy of one cauliflower, I've used one really big, large potato. Okay, so since I added some salt, at this point I will only add some turmeric. All my spices are stuck to the bottom of the thing. I will add some coriander powder. Right, like that. And some paprika. So this gives it a nice color. No heat in this. And I will give it a quick stir. Now be aware, we will be jumping back and forth between this dish and the spinach dish that we're trying to make. So we will be quite a bit back and forth. I've done the cauliflower and potato dish several times on my FB Lives because it's one of the staple dishes that I do. And it's also my husband's favorite, so I make it a lot. I am going to bring the ginger. I grated ginger for both the dishes, and it's over there in the window, so I'm going to go bring that. I'm also going to take a look at how my onions are doing. Yep, they are sauteing nicely. Hope you can see. I'm not trying to get them too brown. If you look, I'm not really trying to make them too brown, but they're softening up. They're still a little hard. So I will continue to saute this. I'm going to grab some ginger and keep it ready to take it over there. If you have any questions related to Indian food, if you have any experiences that you want to share when you tried to make something from my channel or just Indian food in general, feel free to drop it in the chat box below. It will be really interesting to see what kind of experiences people have when they try to make Indian food. Because for me, it's something that comes really naturally, but I do understand that if you're not Indian and I'm trying to motivate you or inspire you to make an Indian dish, of course you're going to have certain experiences that are just very unique to you, right? So don't be shy and share it. I'll be very happy to guide you and let you know if you have any questions or if you're doing something wrong that needs to be fixed. We can totally find a solution for that. Now don't tell me this is already making you hungry, right? Okay, so I'm going to take some of the ginger and add it into here. Okay. Just I'm going to give it a quick stir. And I use my wok for everything because it just adds a nice color to my vegetables when I'm trying to stir fry them. The flame is on high, and this is my wok burner. So I'm just going to turn it down just a little bit. And then I'm going to walk back to my spinach dish and see how my onions are doing. Okay, the onions are pretty brown at this point. So this now the easy part starts because everything goes in at the same time. There's no rocket science. You don't have to delay your gratification in any way. Okay, so you see they're nice and soft. You can actually press into them. They're nice and soft. They are getting a little bit of color around the edges. At this time, I'm going to add this whole bag of spinach. Kind of hard to do it with one hand, but you know what? I think I have Between being a mom and between doing these FB Live videos, I think I have mastered the craft. Okay, I'm just going to clean out the bag, whatever little wisps of spinach are left in it. Okay, and then I have a little bit more in another bag that was just sitting in my fridge. And you know, I'm a big sucker for cleaning out my fridge when I can. So the rest of the spinach is going in. Whatever I'm doing in this Instapot, you can totally do it in a regular pressure cooker. You can do it on a stovetop. You can do it in a saucepan. It does not have to be an Instapot. I just do it because I don't have a regular pressure cooker anymore. I threw them all out ever since I bought my 2 electric pressure cookers. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a quick stir. You see how the spinach actually settles down a lot as soon as it hits the heat? So we're going to give it a second just to saute it out. Remember these lentils that we had soaked and kept aside? These are Bengal gram lentils. If you can't find it in your store, send me a link. I can ship you a 2-pound or a 4-pound packet depending on what part of the US you live. All of this, including the liquid, is going to go in. I do have to clean out the bottom of my pan. Okay. All right, I'm going to give this a quick stir. And then I'm going to add some tomato puree. So this dish doesn't have to be tart or sour, so you don't want to add too much tomato. The flavor really comes from the spinach because it cooks so beautifully that it's almost like a puree, and then the creaminess comes from the lentils. A lot of people also like to add dill to their spinach with lentils, and I tell you, it gives it a really nice, like Middle Eastern flavor to the dish. Okay, I had to come back and take a quick look at my cauliflower and potatoes and see how it's doing. So now it's time to add tomatoes to this one. Just a half of, these are 2 tomatoes that I have cut and chopped into small pieces. And I'm going to add the tomatoes to this. So this got a combination of fresh tomatoes and chopped tomatoes. Fresh tomatoes and tomato puree from the can, okay? Now, same standard spices. The coriander powder is going to go in. This dish doesn't really need that much turmeric, but if you feel like, oh my god, I have to put turmeric in my Indian food, by all means, go right ahead. A hint of paprika. Now I'm going to have to go bring my salt because the little container that had the salt is actually empty now. So I have to do that right here. So the thing is that we always have a good quantity of the spices, but we only take out a little by little in this masala box, which is kind of a staple in every Indian household. If you would like to know more about this container of spices, you can always send me a personal message. Also on my website, www.queenscurrykitchen.com. If you go to the online shop, you can shop for these masala boxes. They come loaded. And also with or without the spices, the choice is yours. Okay, so this is ready. I'm going to get ready to cover this, and then it's going to simmer away. I might add a little bit of water to generate some steam. I've refilled my salt, so I'm walking back to my spinach and lentils. I'm gonna add the salt. I always use sea salt in my food. I don't use regular iodized salt. See how the liquid is like drawing more liquid because the lentils had the liquid in them. The tomatoes have the liquid. You can literally see there's like so much liquid at the bottom of the pan. Okay, all you got to do is just give it a good stir. And for any kind of greens or leafy greens that you're making, try to keep the salt a little bit low to begin with, because as it cooks, greens tend to have a kind of a salty taste to them. Like it's a naturally salty taste. So don't overdo the salt in any kind of greens that you're making. All right, so this is done. It's still on saute mode, so I'm going to hit cancel. I will put the lid back on. make sure it's sealed, and I will put it to manual for 11 minutes, or maybe 12 minutes, 13 minutes. That will give enough time to the lentils to cook. I'm also going to take the tomato puree back to the cauliflower and potatoes. There's really nothing left in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse out this can. So whatever steam is created, it'll just help to cook it better. Once I put the lid on this, I'm going to chop up my cilantro. I'm going to knead the dough for my rotis that are going to go with this. And I will boil some rice. So that will be dinner for today. If this is making you hungry, if you want to try something like this in your own home, don't hesitate. If you have any questions regarding what you see today, feel free to hit me up. Okay, so some liquid has gone in. That's going to help to generate the steam because we are trying to cook the potatoes. Like you can see right now, the potatoes are just rock hard. Right? You see how it has the sharp edges? So the way you know the potatoes are cooked, you can either just take a knife and poke through it so you'll know they're cooked, or then you can see the sides will start to break down and it'll not have these sharp edges anymore. Okay, so that's a good stir that I gave to my cauliflower and potato. And I'm going to now cover this pan. So both my dishes are going. Here's the cauliflower with the potatoes that you saw. And right up there in my Instapot, I have the spinach with the lentils. So in about 13 minutes, that would be ready. And same thing with this. It would be around the same time when they will both be ready. And I will garnish my cauliflower and potatoes with some cilantro and maybe some ginger juliennes. I don't know. I'll see how I'm feeling that time. And so right now it's time for me to make the dough for the rotis, which we make fresh every day. And also I have to boil some rice, so I will be needing both my hands. If you liked what you saw, I encourage you to give it a try and see if you can replicate anything that you saw today. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Like always, visit my website, www.queenscurrykitchen.com, and see the products that are out there, see what kind of spices that I offer. Go to the online shop, take your time to read about what is my philosophy as a chef. I encourage families to dine together so they can shine together. Spend some time with your loved ones. Let them know that a good plate of food is never too much work because it concerns your health, and it's the right way to show love when you put a plate of food out for your family. So like always, thank you for joining me and thank you for being with me. I do appreciate your love and support. Oh, and a big thank you to all the people that ordered their spice blends this week. All the orders have shipped, and hopefully you shall get them. Some of them are going to receive them tomorrow, and some will be receiving them on Saturday. These are all US shipments. So thank you so much for your love and support. If you liked what you saw, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I really, really appreciate all your love and support. Be blissful, be flavorful, and thank you for joining me in the Queen's Curry Kitchen. Take good care and have a good night.